Have you ever sat back and asked yourself what the most dangerous part of your day is? I'm not talking danger as in your life is in danger, although it could apply. I'm talking the most dangerous part of your day for your productivity, for accomplishing your goals, and for being able to really create the life that you want. So if I was to ask you, what is the most dangerous moment of your day or the most important moment of your day to execute well, what would you say? I'm really excited to dig into this topic with you. My name is Amber Fuhriman, and this is the More Than Corporate podcast. Welcome to the More Than Corporate podcast. I'm Amber Fuhriman, recovering perfectionist and serial accomplisher. If you're anything like I used to be, you've been living your life thinking that if you accomplish enough stuff, you'll finally find the success you've always wanted. But what if it's not about accomplishing more stuff? What if it's about accomplishing the right stuff? I believe you don't find success. You create it by intentionally designing the life you want and having the courage to get out of your comfort zone to live your design. I went from doing what I was supposed to do to doing what I love to do, and now I get to help others do the same. Keep listening as I chat with inspiring people who make it their mission to live their best life every day and learn how you too can live the life you've always wanted. All right, so let's dig right into it. What is the most dangerous part of your day? And I'll give you a hint. It's not just one. If I was to ask somebody, what's the most important part of your day? People might tell me in the morning, the first 5 minutes when you wake up. Some people say the middle of the day when you recharge yourself. Some people say the end of the day when you recap what it is you've done throughout the day. What I'm talking about is something that actually happens hundreds and hundreds of times throughout your day and is the single most important moment for you to be aware of. Let me step back for a minute and set this illustration for you. You guys have heard me talk about obstacle course racing and how big of an impact that has had on my ability to be a business owner, an entrepreneur, and a leader. And I talk about the importance of getting out of your comfort zone so much. And I remember when I was training for World's Toughest Mudder, which is this 5-mile obstacle course with 25 obstacles per 5-mile loop. And you run that loop as many times as you can in a 24-hour period without stopping. The way that I trained for this was by running multiple Tough Mudders all throughout the year. And there were times during the year where I started to run a regular Tough Mudder, which is 10 miles with 20 obstacles on that 10-mile course. I started to run those 10-mile laps multiple times in a day. And I will always remember it was Texas in 2017 when I decided that I was going to run my first multi-lap day. It was a Saturday. So I was going to go ahead and finish the first lap, the first 10 miles. And then I was going to immediately do a second 10-mile loop. That would have left me with 20 miles on the day and about 50 obstacles. So I'm talking to a friend of mine who's been training for World's Toughest Mudder for a while. And I said, can you give me some advice? And he said, yes, Amber, absolutely. When you cross the finish line from your first lap, get to the starting point for your second lap as quickly as you possibly can. Get there before you start to realize how much your muscles hurt. You start to realize you're hungry. You start to realize that you want to sit down and rest your feet, because the moment that you let those thoughts enter your mind, it's done. So just get to the start line and start, and just know that once you start, you're going to finish. And that's exactly what I did. I got done with the first lap. I immediately ran to the starting corral to start my second lap. Multiple times throughout my lap, I had to remind myself that I only walked forward, that I only walked one way. Turning around was not an option. I fully believe that if I would have given myself time to sit down and relax in between those two laps, that I never would have ran lap number 2. And it's really interesting because in my head, I was thinking there's no way I can run 20 miles. There is no way I can get 20 miles done in a day. And then the moment that I did, that became a standard for me. So fast forward to when I was running World's Toughest Mudder, which is that 5-mile loop. My mom was my pit crew. So every runner is able to have up to 4 pit crew members. And those pit crew members are there for that 24-hour race to help you get the nutrition that you need, to help you get whatever change of clothes you might need to make sure that you are all set to go back out for another 5-mile lap. As I was talking to my mom about what her responsibilities were going to be as my pit crew, I told her, I said, the most important responsibility that you can have is getting me from the finish line of one lap to the start line of the next. Because that pit, that area in between the finish line of one lap and the start line of the next is where all of the food and shelter and warmth and change of clothes and comfort is at. But once I cross the finish line, once I cross the start line, I know that I'll cross the finish line because I won't turn around. So I told her, if my goal is 25 miles in this 24-hour period, if you get me to the start line 5 times, I will meet my goal because I will finish every lap I start. And I did. I finished World's Toughest Mudder with 25 official miles over a 24-hour period. What does this have to do with what we're talking about today? When I was obstacle course racing, both in that Texas race where I was running my first multiple lap day and in my World's Toughest Mudder experiences where I was running 5 laps. And I told my mom, get me to the start line 5 times. The most dangerous part of that course was the finish line to the start line, not the start line to the finish line. Because once you've started the task, you don't stop. The scary part's already done. So I'll ask you again, what is the most dangerous part of your day? The answer is the 5 seconds in between the moment you say you're going to do something and the moment you actually start it. There's an amazing book by Mel Robbins called The 5-Second Rule that talks about this. It talks about that it takes about 5 seconds for your brain to start registering and making up excuses. So when you say, I'm going to go to the gym, let's use go to the gym, for example. So you say, you know what? I'm going to go to the gym. You're laying in bed. You're like, I'm going to start my day off with a workout today. And then you go to get out of bed. And then all of a sudden you're cold and you're tired before you even start your workout. And you've got so much to do. And you got to drive to the gym and you got to work out. And then you got to drive home. And then you're going to have to shower when you could just get up, get ready, and go to work. Maybe you got to take care of the kids. There's so much on this list of things. But what if everything was ready for you to where you decided you were going to do something and then you started acting before your brain could start giving you excuses? Just as in obstacle course racing, where the hardest part or the most important part was from the finish line to the start line, the most important part of your day is from the moment that you decide you want to do something to the moment that you take your first action. Because once you start it, you've got that momentum going and you're moving forward. How many things do you say you want to do that you never actually start, you never actually do? Because from the moment you say you want to do them to the moment that you would start doing them, you start coming up with excuses. And what would your life look like if you were able to act before those excuses could stop you? Take a minute and take a mental note of all the things that are unstarted, not even unfinished, unstarted on your list of things that you've always wanted to do. How many times do you say, I'm going to get up and meal prep? I'm going to get up and go to the gym. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to start to write my book. I'm going to call 5 people for sales calls. I'm going to start a business. I'm going to. So here's my challenge for you this weekend. Here's what I would encourage you to do. Take a minute this week and think about how long you think about acting before you actually act. And I would encourage you, when you make a decision, 5 4, 3, 2, and go. Right? We talked about this at a conference. Good friend of mine did an example of this in his presentation at the conference I was at in Nashville. And you don't even have to get to 1. Just know that you have to act and you have a very limited time to do it. So from the time that you say you're going to do something, just get up and start doing it. Because even if you only take 1 or 2 steps in that action, those 1 or 2 are going to turn into 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, 7, and 8. You never just do 1 or 2. So take a minute and really start taking action. Get rid of that itty bitty shitty committee in your head. Don't give those gremlins that tell you that you're not good enough or come up with all the excuses. Don't give them time to act. Start moving forward on your decisions. So when I ask you, what's the most dangerous part of your day, or what's the most important part of your day? It is the time between the moment you say you're going to do something and the time that you actually start taking action. Always remember that you have the ability to design the life that you have always wanted, and you owe it to yourself to get out of your comfort zone and live it. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the More Than Corporate podcast. If anything that was said during this episode resonated with you or provided value in any way, it would mean the world to me if you would head over to iTunes and leave a rating and review for the More Than Corporate podcast. Thank you so much for taking the time to do that. I'm really looking forward to connecting with you. If you'd also like to connect, I've created a Facebook group that is full of amazing people who also make it their mission to live their best life every single day. If that sounds like something that you're interested in, the name of that Facebook group is Success Center. Head over there, request to join, and I look forward to connecting with you soon.